Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Ron Kellawell. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, hit that like button. What else do I ask you to do? Share, don't forget to share. Today I want you to talk about misinformation, disinformation, basically how a lot of you are getting bamboozled out on these digital streets. I'm tired. I'm laughing, but I'm sick of it. Like, it's like, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. We have so much information that's being shared on a daily basis on Twitter, Facebook, even YouTube, right? But I need you to take a moment as you're watching this video to think about the kinds of things that you're amplifying, you're sharing, and believing. I'm starting to feel like some of you want to be bamboozled. You enjoy being bamboozled. You want to be scammed. I don't understand it. I feel like a lot of you watching it, and you know, I'm not going to make a sweeping general statement, but a lot of you watching this video have you know better. Now I know common sense isn't common, but I think I'm just getting really frustrated because sometimes I'll log on to, so one of my favorite apps, even if it annoys the hell out of me, but one of my favorite apps is Twitter, right? I enjoy Twitter. I don't enjoy seeing grown people, regardless of age actually, but I don't enjoy seeing people who I respect and admire amplifying things without cross-referencing, double-checking, fact-checking. Look, once in a while you might get bamboozled about bit of celebrity gossip. Like, I mean the most basic gossip, like who's dating who. That's okay. Like, that's okay, as long as it's not harmful. You know, I'm sure I've probably been bamboozled by a little bit of celebrity gossip. You know, who's dating, like, oh, this person's dating this person, how exciting. But when it comes more serious, where it's things that are like harmful, damaging, especially, you know, as I'm filming this, we are still in a global pandemic. Some of the things I've seen people amplify, just, why? Like, I just feel like, so I'm going to use myself as an example because I don't want to make an assumption of who's watching this, right? But I went to secondary school, I went to primary school, I went to secondary school, I went to university. None of them were perfect, but I was educated to some degree. I'm still learning, always still learning. And there's always ways of, you know, learning more and learning about so many different, you know, facets of life, right? But there's some critical elements that I learned as I was going through these educational institutions is, you know, you read things. Once you've learned how to read, you read things, and then you check that what you're reading, if it's not, you know, fictitious, like literature, because it's fun, check what you're reading is accurate. So usually it's from a credible source, so you're sure it's from a credible source. And look, sometimes there's things that we've been taught that have turned out to be inaccurate, but for the most part we can find that out ourselves. But we learn how to read, we assess, we hopefully undertake some degree of critical thought. Now, I know we're not always taught critical thinking in schools, and I think we ought to be. But we hopefully just try our best to utilize our sense. I'm trying to be diplomatic. I'm trying not to be rude, because I'm so tired of people believing everything that they see and amplifying things like on social media without even just thinking. Like, media is really powerful, okay? So you'll get a mainstream media platform sharing something with a headline that's misleading because they want the clicks, because they're desperate, they're thirsty. It's a sinking ship out there. Times are hard and tough in the media landscape. So they're sharing stuff that's like, okay, instead of you now to click, at least just click. No, I know it's like counterintuitive because it's like, oh, it's clickbait, but just click. And usually, if it's a credible source, if it's a reasonable platform, once you've read it in context, you're like, oh, the headline isn't matching. But because a lot of you just react to what you're seeing in bite-sized chunks, there's a lot of things that are just being spread without thinking. So that's more about clickbait, right? Now we're talking about this misinformation, sharing things that are just inaccurate. Like, I'll see something on Twitter, somebody will just say something, I don't know, like the sky is green. Now, it's possible in some areas of the world that the sky could possibly be green. I think when there's the northern lights, you can see shades of green. But if somebody just come on the timeline and just the entire sky has turned green and the clouds are red, and somebody will just say it, and then people will just be like, okay, yeah, there's no credible source. This thing has now gone viral and everybody's believing this thing. So what I'm really trying to say, and I'm trying to say it with love, because I care about you and I appreciate the time you spent watching this, is just take your time, stop being bamboozled, always fact check, always check, always use Google. Like, Google is your friend. It can be a bit dodgy, but it's your friend. So you know, use it. Use Google. Nothing wrong with using Google. Check multiple sources before you come to a conclusion and believe what you're reading on the timeline or in a status. I don't know how you're consuming your information, but just think and use, you know, what I really want to say ultimately to land on this point is, don't let social media platforms do your thinking for you. Even what I've said in this video, take a moment. If you don't agree with me, okay, bye. Like, okay. Use your senses, use your critical thought, critical thinking, and take your time, because we are in an era where people are just sharing and amplifying things that are dangerous and harmful and inaccurate and wrong. It's not just about the odd, inaccurate piece of reporting or a harmless tweet as a joke that people have just believed. No, it's actually more dangerous than that. And as I said earlier, we're in a pandemic and people were sharing have been and were and still are sharing some conspiracy theories that are just completely shocking and dangerous and harmful. So we're talking about human life, like the difference between life and death. But people are believing these things because the amplification and way in which we respond to things encourages people to believe things that are harmful. So yeah, I just want to take a moment just to ask you as you're watching this, because I feel like it's really important to discuss, that you take more time and take more care in what you're sharing, and think about what you're posting and verify. And I know it's hard, but just few seconds just to check. And if you're not sure, just don't share. As simple as that, just don't share. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this message has been useful to at least one person. Don't forget to leave a comment, and yeah, take care. Thank you.